from people sitting on it.
Kind of tiny.
Maybe kids will wearing it.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. They love playing on it.
Dog vomit.
Dog vomit. Yeah.
Now what, you know, how long it takes over and how long it's going to take
A little
I
creative.
know, now the war is gone, because it always has sprouts coming out,
Not
but
this
you know
side.
what? It might still. Oh, what a wonderful farm.
Oh yeah, I don't know how to edit, so that's part of the problem here. Get what you get.
Yeah, I think this is.
Oh,
Yes, these are all clones. So here's a question about this tree. If a mutation, let's say like an albino redwood or something, happens and we see it in a branch up there, is that mutation going to be in these other branches of the clone, in these other sprouts? No. And so the point is, as these trees mutate a bunch, the sprouts maintain a closer genetic relationship to the seed than a big tall tree itself. This tree might mutate very differently than any of these if any of these turn into trees.
Zane, you used the word seed several times, and I'm very confused by that versus you're talking about the little burl seed that's in the wood.
Yeah, or when this was a seed and a seedling,
Yeah.
that seedling, these are more closely genetically related to the seed than any of the branches on that trunk, because there's been a lot of cell divisions and a lot of DNA replication
It's closer
and
to
copying
it's
error.
closer to the source.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and because it was set aside when the seedling was this tall at birth. Yeah. So they set aside these branches,
Got it.
and so those branches are going to be slightly closer related simply because they've had fewer cell divisions. And yeah,
It's a
basically
reset.
fewer. Yes, you can think of it like a reset, or like a hard drive. You back up your hard drive, and let's just assume that the backup is maybe not perfect, but darn close to perfect, right? And so if your computer crashes, you can go back to an earlier copy.
Got it.
If your computer crashes, as in the trunk burns and dies or something happens, right? Then this is the result, and these are going to be more closely genetically related to that original seed.
I'm almost ready for my PhD.
so how do we know this tree came from a seed and not from a sprout from another tree?
It may have come from a sprout from another tree.
But the
We don't-
original seed.
Yeah, we don't know how old this burl is. So we don't know when the original seed was. But the burl and all these branches were set aside, and you could consider this trunk maybe a branch of that original seed. If this wasn't the original seedling trunk, it was a branch of the original seedling trunk.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that's the cool thing about the sprouts that I have studied, is that developmentally, so not just are they using resources from decades earlier. That was Drew Peltier's most recent paper that you heard about in the press, but also that these things are set aside really early in development. He described this, and I'm describing the genetic consequence of that. And the genetic consequence of that is that these are just as different as any of the branches in the trunk of this other tree, and these may be more closely related to the original parent genotype or the parent genetic material.
Which is important because it's
Amazing.
this tree
That's so
survived
Yeah.
over
It-
thousands and thousands of years.
Exactly.